Well, I'm Amanda Davila. I'm super excited to introduce you to the first episode of the Evolving You, supporting you on your journey of awakening. Um, this here beautiful lady is Dr. Nancy Wiley. She's a board certified orthodontist by trade and is also the author of Divine Trust. She has practiced various forms of meditation for over 40 years. She's studied many types of energy medicine and is a certified Reiki master. Dr. Nancy has had many mystical experiences that have allowed her to see beyond what most people perceive. Uniting her extensive scientific background from her orthodontic training combined with all of her spiritual training, she's now dedicated to igniting a massive shift in human consciousness. So again, I'm just so excited for you to be here for this new show that we're going to be here live every Thursday at noon Eastern time. And Dr. Nancy, I'm going to let you take over.
Oh, thanks, Amanda. You are the best. I've had lots of assistants, but you are the most fantastic. So thank you. So today, I wish I had someone like this when I was on beginning my journey of meditation. So why would you want to do it? What's the reason? And Amanda, jump in whenever you feel the need to jump in, because I know you're well on your way on this journey, but we have so much fascinating banter, you and I, back and forth. So why would we meditate? What's the advantage? And here's where the scientist that I am comes into play. So I want to give you something to hang your left brain onto, so okay, yeah, well, this is what's going on. And then we're going to go into the experiential side, really through your right brain. So the way I have distilled this down, I hope it's so easy for you to understand, is that there's your left brain, which is our analytical mind. It's where we're thinking. It's where I'm talking to you from right now. It's where you do math. It's the linear thinking, but it's also in the way we most operate in the world, which is usually thinking about what happened in the past and projecting it onto the future. Can also be the place of stress and anxiety, depression, and fear. All of that is in the left brain. So when you meditate, you actually come from the right brain, you come into the present moment, and you leave the past and you leave the future behind, and you no longer think in a linear direction. So that's why this is working for us. Now, in our right brain, we can access all of the hallowed ground that you hear about. So we're going to get to that later. So I want to stick with kind of a scientific aspect. And then Amanda, jump in if you have anything you like, wait a second, I want to know, can you clarify this or that? So when I'm talking to you right now, we're in the left brain and we're in the brainwave state of alpha, or excuse me, beta. I always get it because alpha, beta, delta, when you talk about the alphabet, the Greek alphabet, it goes the other way. But when you're in everyday thinking aspect, you're in the beta stage. That's the awake stage, the analytical mind. When you start to breathe and come into the present moment and relax, you go into the alpha brain waves. And then the deeper you go into theta, and then delta and gamma. The deeper you go, as in meditation, sometimes even sleep, delta sleep. You've heard that. Everyone's heard that before. So it's in these deeper states where we actually shift our brain waves and come into the present moment that we access the spiritual experiences, deep relaxation. Now, let's just keep it scientific for a second here, and then we're going to get back into the spiritual aspect. When you're in your right brain and you come into an alpha and a theta state, this is what rejuvenates the body. This is what changes our epigenetics. Now, this is scientific proof. When you meditate, you unravel your DNA strands. Usually they're all in a spiral and they're tight. The more stressed you are, the tighter they are, the less of your genetic material can be expressed. The more relaxed you are, the more coherent your brain waves are with your heart waves and your heartbeat, the DNA unravels, and then you can express way more. So guess what's expressed? It's all the good things. It's the anti-cancer, the anti-aging, all of the good and beneficial things that are expressed from your DNA. So that's it in a nutshell. And I wonder if there's any questions about this, or if you have questions about this so far, this part right now.
That's like, just that like visual alone made me like, wow, it's like, regardless of what's going on in your life, it's worth like getting to that place just for like physical health benefits. And I think that's easy for so many of us to understand more, right? Especially
Mhm.
early in the journey, like we can understand like, oh, like physically by getting to this place, I can actually prevent bad things happening to my body. I can be in a more, healthy state overall. So I think that's really, I think there's going to be a lot of questions coming in just about that subject alone.
I think it's fascinating. And for me, I was lured to doing it at the very, very beginning, just to relax. So you hear about it through the relaxation aspect, anti-stress, right? So we all have stressful lives. So to just relax and meditate. So now let's talk about what meditation is, because this is my favorite part. And a lot of this, y'all, I really heard about it, but I couldn't explain it at the very beginning. And I had no clue. Was I in the present moment? Was I not? So when you're in your left brain and you're worried about the past, projecting onto the future, you have a big, long to-do list. Like I have, my to-do list is really long. That's here in the left brain. But when you breathe, just stop, breathe. Just close your eyes and breathe, and just maybe think about, maybe try to sense where your heart is, come into this present moment. So now, like I used to ask, well, how do I know I'm in the present moment? And just breathe. Quit trying. Don't ask questions like that, because when you're trying, you're shutting the door. You want to just relax and trust that you're in that present moment. Doesn't take a long time to get there. And the more advanced and the more experienced you get, the faster you can get there. You can even get there with your eyes open and doing all kinds of things in your outer world. You know how to do it, you train yourself. So just going into breathing and coming in, closing your eyes. It's part of what the mindfulness movement is. Right now, I do want to share a screen. So let's see, Amanda, if you can help me do this.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're going to go back into your Canvas screen.
Okay, we're already on share the screen. Okay, here we are. Can you see it?
Nope. You need to share your screen in Zoom as well.
Okay. Oh, how do you do that?
Down into your share screen.
Okay, I'm here. Okay, here. Okay.
See. There we go. We got
Okay,
it.
you got it. Okay, that I know. I thought I had to do that on the live. So everybody can see this, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's just go to the next slide. So this is a summary of like the two ways of navigating your world. One is being in your mind, your what I call the left brain. You're looking to protect yourself. It's the ego mind, right? It's looking for what's lacking, missing, or wrong, or it's the blaming, shaming, and complaining mode. So whenever you're in that, even with your eyes closed, if you're blaming, shaming, complaining, or you're thinking about picking your son up from school, you're in your left brain. Okay. And it's mostly the past or the future, and you're projecting onto the future. It's scanning the horizon at what's going to hurt you. So it's the old reptilian brain, and it looks to divide, separate, and label, which in our world today is, we're all taught to do that. That's where we're taught to come from. What I'm talking about, look at the contrast. Just close your eyes and listen to these words. Take a breath, come into the present moment, into your right brain. Okay, you're conscious, and you're seeing the unity, the commonality of all things. You're seeing the beauty and the goodness of everything. It's the doorway, the beginning of the present moment. And it's seeing innocence and perfection of everything. And it's also the place that we're going to make the connection to source and feel whole and complete in our own divinity. Two drastically different ways of being. And if the world didn't need this right now so much, I wouldn't be doing this. Yeah. So we are right now at an all-time high level of people learning about yoga, learning about meditation, learning about the mindfulness movement, and seekers of all spiritual types. It's like the fastest growing aspect of self-help is the humans that are looking to fill this urge, this yearning inside them. What is it? Why are we here? What's this all about? But the people who aren't looking, we also have all-time high levels of alcoholism and drug abuse and overdoses and antidepressant prescriptions, anxiety, fear, depression, suicide, divorce, and uncertainty. Now I ask you, what would you rather have? And it's a choice that's yours. So I know what we're thinking, but maybe you would ask, this isn't so easy. You're saying it, but how do I know how to go? And who do I know who to trust? I mean, I think that's a very, very important question. Who do I trust? So we're going to talk about that. That'll be a different one, but just stay with me for this, because this is just the very, very beginning. So the goal of enlightenment in all processes is to be conscious or aware in the present moment. And it's more than just being awake, like I'm awake, I'm conscious, but in the present moment, you're aware of who you are. You're aware that you're a being, that you have energy. And then it's the doorway to open to your pure divinity, which we all are. It's our innate birthright, but how do you get there, right? That's the big question. How do you get there? And I just want to further define the present moment. It's the gateway of knowing and experiencing everything that I'm teaching and guiding you through. It is the place where you neutralize anything your mind labels as a negative or something's lacking, missing, or wrong. And it's also the place from which you know your own divinity, and the place where you also manifest from. It's the 0 point or purity. And it really is the point of all spiritual practices, is to get to that point. It is the space of the divine and of the quantum realm. And it is being proven through quantum physics. Probably as I'm sitting here, we're getting closer and closer to proving there is this energy that's hosting all things, behind everything, and organizing everything. So very, very interesting. Amanda, do you have any questions about that?
I mean, I always have so many like rabbit holes I want to jump down with every topic. But I think as far as, being in the present moment, that's where so many of us get stuck. So I really like how you explained it and how simple it can be. Like my husband has all these different tools to try to get to that place, right? And then me being a, busy working mom and having a million ideas in my head all the time, that's overwhelming to me. So when you like explained it to be so simple, like how simple it can be to get into the present moment, and how meditation doesn't have to be this big, long, drawn out hours and hours of my day type of, commitment, it really helped me to feel like, okay, I'm okay exactly where I'm at. Like I can do this with those stolen moments between all of the things I have to do in a day. So, as, a busy mom, it's been completely altering for me to
Yes.
have the simplicity and to have the permission to take what I have and make that work and know that I'm still ascending to these new places because I feel it and not getting caught up in the, oh, I could never live up to, all these people who are saying you have to do it this way, or I can, I can't commit to sitting there on a meditation app for an hour or two every day. So I'm never going to, get to that
Mm.
next level.
Oh, that'll stop you. You won't even try, right? You won't even try. And then I have other people in my life and they're like, I can't meditate. My mind's too busy. And I'm like, yes, you can. All you have to do is close your eyes and breathe, and then have a guided meditation really, really helps. And it doesn't have to be, you're right, it can be just a few minutes. That's all it takes. A few seconds, just at a stoplight, right? You can just do it then. Just close your eyes just for a second and breathe and become centered. But I do want to talk a little bit about that point, like your husband, what you just said, because when I first started it, I'm like, am I in the present moment? Am I not? I don't know. When you say that, you're not, you're not in the present moment. But eventually you'd start to see glimpses. The more you relax, the more you just trust, relax, and allow, the faster it is going to come. The more you try, the harder you try, the more you're in your left brain. And that shuts the door to this. It really literally does. But just relaxing and just breathing. Okay, I can do this for a second. I can just do this for a second. Yeah. And be right here, right now, in the present. And as I model that for you, it's easier for you to do it. It's almost like, the examples right here in front of you doing it, and you can talk in the present moment. You can be here in the present moment. You absolutely can. But it's where psychic expression comes from. It's where inspiration to write my book came from, in that present moment. It's just a glorious place to be. And I really, really, it's my heart's desire for every human being to be able to feel that, and the difference it is to come from that. Eventually, if you dedicate yourself to it and come back and back to it again and again, it does become your come from. Even though you have a to-do list, even though you have things to do, and even though you're human. Okay, we are human. I really want to talk about this too. One of the biggest blocks for me is like, I'm not good enough to hold the energy of God or a source. I'm not good enough. I just yelled at my daughter. But we're in a 3D body. We're human beings, and that is the 3D experience. So we're this spiritual being with this 3D body and experience. We're here for a reason. If you want to know the whole backstory, go study with my master class, or get my book, Divine Trust, A Practical Guide to End Your Suffering and Find Your Way Home. But we're all here, and we're all going to have our unique expressions, our unique way of walking on this planet Earth, while still having this connection to our source as our primary beingness. So it goes so deep. I can go so deep here. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I know, is there any questions coming through the chats, or do you have any questions?
Let me
for me?
double check. Let me jump back in there really quick and check. But something I wanted to say, and we haven't really got to get too deep into these different the lower level and higher level, but I just wanted to say that I just over the last couple months, I've noticed a huge shift in myself. And when it hit me the other night, my son just turned 6 years old, and he's been really wanting to look at all his baby pictures and videos. So every night we take a few minutes and look at some. And so many of the moments I don't remember, or I vaguely remember. I realized that, the first third of his life, almost, or first third of his childhood, I should say, I was so caught up somewhere else, always worrying about the future and being in that fear place. And then always, again, like you said before, taking the old stuff that was, old traumas and old beliefs, bringing them into that present moment and then worrying about the future, that I lost so much of the joy of my child being a baby and a young, a toddler and everything, because I was so focused in the future. And I've been grieving that lately, working through that's, and going back to these photos and videos has been amazing to, remember how cute his little voice was and the little funny things he did, but what I've noticed over the last couple of months since we've been, doing this deeper work is I'm finding myself, even sometimes unconsciously, I find myself getting into that present moment and just enjoying that day or that moment or whatever it is we're doing, whether it's crazy or just normal. I'm just able to enjoy it for what it is without having a bunch of expectations, without having a bunch of fears. I'm just being there. Just I find myself in that present moment sometimes on my own now. And I've only really been focusing on doing this for probably 2 or 3 months, like really trying to. So it's amazing like how quickly those little shifts have started to impact me on an unconscious level. Like I'm just doing it. And I thought that was really cool.
That is so beautiful. And isn't that now just explain, okay, I can feel in your pit of your stomach the difference between the other way and this way is. I can feel it in your body. So do you see like how just that little bit just makes your life so much more enriched and satisfying and beautiful?
Absolutely. This is what you talk about all the time in your whole book, but the trust, like trusting. And I find myself more and more trusting source that everything's going to be okay and as it should be. And I'm so much less in my head and stressed and freaked out about every little possible thing that could go wrong. Now, this is coming from a highly anxious mom who's never let my kid out of my sight, basically, right? In 6 years. So for me to release so many of those fears and beliefs and expectations and just be, it's absolutely incredible, like so life changing. And I feel like I'm just at the tip of the iceberg of it. And it's already so massive.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Okay. Yes.
So I just want to talk a little bit about human evolution and how it relates to this left brain, right brain, and meditation, let's say. It doesn't have to be a formal meditation. I had a friend the other day who said, oh, wait, I go out and I listen to music on the beach and I'm there. I'm like, yes, that's kind of a form of meditation. You're in the present moment, looking at beautiful things, beautiful nature scenes, is bringing you into the present moment, right? So it's the same thing. Yoga also, to breathe and come into the present moment. These are all the same things. It's meant to bring you right here, right now to the 0 point. So we had put out there the question is, what do all spiritual practices, including meditation, have in common? The purpose is all to get you into the present moment to the 0 point or connected completely to source. And that's the whole point of everything. Everything I've ever tried spiritually all has that same underlying aspect. Until you have someone say, oh my God, you're right. It's all trying to get you to get to a point where you're not thinking thoughts, where you're just being. It's beautiful. Okay. So lower levels of consciousness also, they would be considered to be in the beta brain waves, are the survival mode, the fight or flight. And this is where we kind of go back to our old reptilian brain where we were cavemen and we had to look for what was going to hurt us. We had to scan the horizon for what would kill us. And, that became our go-to, our survival mode, the beta brain. It's also sympathetic autonomic systems when your heart beats really fast. It's the contraction of the DNA strands, which I told you about, but it floods your body with a whole host of neurotransmitters and chemicals that are meant only for short term, that break the body down over long term. It also doesn't allow you to think clearly. We think that, when I make this list and I'm in my left brain, I'm going to go over and write all the positive attributes of this thing, the negative attributes of something, and then I'm going to make my decision with my left brain. Whereas if you went to your right brain, you breathed, you felt how it felt in your body, you would get a much more accurate rendition or answer as to, is this the right way to go, or is this the negative way to go? And you'll know, you'll feel, sense, know. But now take some time to be able to get that level of reading your body. Some people, they've never done it in their whole life. So it does take a tiny little bit of practice, but in a short period of time, you're on your way of knowing, okay, I'm using my intuition, my gut, my higher self to make my decisions. Your life is going to be so much better. And you're not going to, maybe it's not going to make rational, sense to you. But once you follow the path, you'll see that it was the right way to go. And then contrast this to higher levels of consciousness. It's being in that present moment, conscious, aware of yourself in the present moment. It's where peace and happiness and joy live. It's where the higher brain functions live and function. It's where the parasympathetic nervous system takes over and regulates your body in a healthy way. Your DNA strands, you already explained that, how more genetic material is expressed. And it's eventually the way that I think humanity is going to express these superhuman attributes that we all have innately inside of us. And it's where our mind becomes a divine tool. So you start to merge with the divine, and then lo and behold, the things that you want for yourself are good for not only you, but for the whole entire world, the whole entire planet. And it just becomes the way that we're going to have a world of peace and love and joy, and live our highest potential. So hope that made sense.
Yeah, I have a question, or kind of a question comment, because my background from the past is also in science, so my brain is always going back there. But when you mentioned about being in that lower level and the neurotransmitters, everything flooding your body, which is meant for short-term survival. So because we all seem to know somebody who is super, super healthy, has always eaten right, and exercised and seemed to do everything right, yet they still end up with cancer at a young age, something like that, something big and drastic. Do you think that could be a contributing factor to people who should be totally healthy having these major health crises? Does that make sense?
So there could be, okay, so I'm not knowing that person, and I never want to condemn them at all, because what if their cancer was here so that someone else would have a healing, or maybe like a brother or a sister become a doctor to cure it. Do you see how it plays? It's so, I can't even answer that. It can also be a lot of times, like, you can say, I'm doing these affirmations. I see it all the time. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But yet the underbelly, the fear that they're not overtly expressing, that's only deep inside, is being what's expressed. You cannot fool the law of attraction. If you put on affirmations like, I'm complete sublime health, but yet underneath you're feeling the opposite of that, that is what is manifested. The underbelly is always manifested. So it could be that. So what if you were here to teach your brother, your sister, your mother, or someone else, a lesson, some lesson, you agreed souls coming in to say, you know what, I'll come in, I'll be the bad guy this time so that you might learn this. And then you suffer. A lot of other people in the spiritual realm, they will take on other people's negativity and transmute it and heal the other person, and then eventually heal themselves. And you get this spontaneous healing. Sometimes they just take it on because that was their role. That was the assigned role that their soul said they would take. And we all, do leave here eventually. I mean, there are people who've never died. Babaji's 4,000 years old. I'm sure there's ways. And there's people who have figured out how to rejuvenate and regenerate their cells and never die. But for the most of us, I think we have that limiting belief that we have to die. So what if that person is like, you know what, I did what I'm here to do, and now it's my time to evolve back into source pure energy. So that's the way you look at it. And then I literally transmute anything like that into a gift, a blessing. And I trust, not being that person, I don't know what their soul urge was or their soul journey's choices were, but I trust that it's all unfolding in perfect order.
Yeah, I think finding that level of understanding and trust has been really helpful to me as well. And I think that's a whole separate discussion for another day, because like I have so many things I want to add to that. But again, like you said before, like really going back to starting it, like at your book, Divine Trust, is like a really great place to start, like learning and understanding and putting into practice, all of those things as you're beginning or continuing your spiritual journey. So I'll save all of that for another time on here, because there's so much good stuff. I'm excited. I'm all excited now.
Me too. It's so much fun. I mean, you and I alone, we can go so deep in so many different subjects, and the depth and the breadth of of my actual experience is it's come to me from others. So I'm like, I know I'm on a 46-year path already, so I can say the depth of my experience, but it is so wonderful. And I'm so glad I get to share it in the unique way that I can bring to the world. Absolutely. And with you too. It's so much fun sharing it with you and you contributing. It's awesome.
It is so much fun. And I am just absolutely loving everything. So I definitely want to encourage anyone who's watching this to go to trustthedivine.com, download Dr. Nancy's free guided meditation. If you just on the homepage, scroll to the bottom, you can grab that down there. And it is incredible. Like, it's amazing, like how much transformation you can have just by starting to get into that place with a trusted guide and start doing that meditation. And then the first thing, when I first met Dr. Nancy, I immediately went on Amazon and bought her book because I was like, I need to know more about this. Like, just the title alone, Divine Trust, a practical guide to end suffering and find your way home. Like, just that title was like, it was like God handing me an answer. Like, here you go. Like, this is what you need. And it just felt so good. And I'm already in my second time reading it. It's not a super long book, which is amazing. Like, you can get so much from a small book, and I keep reading it over, and I know that I'm going to keep reading it over and over again. So that would be my recommendation is your next step. Grab the free meditation, get Dr. Nancy's book. Follow us, here on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you are on social media. And Dr. Nancy's been sending out some amazing newsletters, just jam-packed of helpful information for you, and in a step-by-step, series to help you keep going to the next level. So that would be my personal recommendation.
Oh, I just want to add, the free meditation on trustthedivine.com is called You Are Beautiful. Yeah. That even alone, like I was having a really hard time coming out of that because I just felt so glorious, and hopefully that's conveyed in that meditation, which is free. You just have to scroll all the way down to the bottom of that homepage, and get that. And of course, my book. And if you want, I did a masterclass on the book, which is also for sale on my site. You'll see it there. But please ask questions. This is how, I mean, I wished I had someone like this on the very beginning of my journey. I had so many questions and I had no one to go to. I, had a forum where I would get like tapes and meditations and CDs, but I couldn't ask anyone. I don't know if I'm doing this right. It really helps to have someone there guiding you, being like your trail guide, taking you the fastest routes, the most succinct, and just helping you on your journey. That's my goal, my desire for you.
Love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Nancy. This has been incredible. I'm excited to come back next week, and keep going deeper into this with you. And I think that this is going to help so many people. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here and sharing. All right. If you are
Yeah.
watching this on Facebook, please leave comments with questions. If you are watching it somewhere else, because I'm going to upload this in many different places, please just leave your comments in, questions in the comments, and we'll make sure to pull those forward for the next live so we can answer them. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.